I'm going to start this lesson with a story. It's one that comes from World War II during the Battle of the Bulge. Okay, the Nazi spearhead SS units are in the Ardennes forest, and the American line is demoralized and fleeing along these little roads that leave the forest. This is December of 1944. The Ardennes forest is in Belgium. In addition to the soldiers fleeing, there's this 30-ton American tank that's fleeing down one of these roads and comes across a paratrooper, just a one person, one soldier on the side of the road, and that paratrooper is holding up his hand like this, getting the tank to stop. The tank stops, and the tank commander gets out of his turret, and paratrooper says, "Hey buddy, are you looking for a safe place?" And the tank commander says, "Yeah." And the paratrooper says, "Then get behind me. I'm the 82nd Airborne, and this is as far as the bastards go." The world is full of chaos right now. You have a choice to make. Are you going to flee that chaos, or are you going to take a stand and do what you can with it? Warriors, take a stand. You need the courage of that 82nd Airborne paratrooper. You can be a citizen warrior, or what Grossman calls a peace warrior. We're looking at Dave Grossman's book On Combat in this lesson. The subtitle is The Psychology and Physiology of Deadly Conflict in War and in Peace. So he addresses what it's like to be a warrior in war, but he also says that we have a need for peace warriors. We need warriors to attack and defend, but also to preserve and protect. So he says we need to expand the idea of what a warrior is. And I want to read a quote that he says. "I propose the term peace warrior to refer to those in every profession, with or without guns, who are dedicated to moving our world forward toward peace." And he includes like the Red Cross, NGOs that are in war zones, parole officers, doctors, EMTs, firefighters, social workers, clergy, just as examples of peace warriors. I think we should include that to everyone. You can also be a peace warrior in how you live your life and then how you lead others in however you're serving the world. So all of us can choose to be peace warriors. We can choose to be more warrior-like by living the warrior qualities. Grossman cites some statistics about the crime increase from 1957 to 1993 as increasing sevenfold. So he's basically saying that there's all of this chaos and violence that's increasing in our society. And he says that if this is not war, I don't know what is. And he adds that if you're in a war, then you're a warrior. Well, I agree to a point, but you can be in a war as a soldier and not act very warrior-like. And you can be living in a violent world and not act very warrior-like. Being warrior-like or being a warrior is based on how you act in the stress of that situation. War and violence are just examples of stress. How are you going to choose to deal and process the stress that makes up your world? George Washington said, "He who would have peace must be prepared for war." You can't have peace without preparing yourself to deal with stress. And the first step for that is to value stress. Grossman says that we're in a turning point of sorts in our country and in our world. He calls it a dark hour. Now, the book was written just a little bit after 9/11, and there's been plenty of chaos and stressors occurred since then. And that reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Rick Fields' book, The Code of the Warrior. He says, times of crisis call forth the warrior. So we're all called to serve now in some way. We can all be peace warriors. Grossman says that you need to master your realm. Well, first, like I said, you need to value stress. And then you need to accept the stress and your circumstances as they are, so that from that foundation you can begin doing the work to process yourself through it. Many times solutions and new ideas come out of chaotic, stressful situations. This is really where you do learn. So you can prepare yourself physically and mentally. Physically, if you're a climber, you can climb regularly, and then you can add other physical activities to that. If you're not a climber, then choose a physical training or physical activity that you can do on a regular basis. Mentally, you can prepare yourself by choosing from the drills that I have in these lessons. I have a practical, tangible drill in every lesson that I post on YouTube and on our blog. Pick something that you are willing to do regularly. The regularity of this is what's important. You need to have routines that you do daily and weekly so that you can prepare yourself mentally and physically. Grossman says that when you're truly transformed into a warrior and have truly invested yourself into warriorhood, you want to be there. You want to be able to make a difference. So when you prepare yourself, you're going to be more able and willing to be in the stress. And that's a core quality for being a warrior. Grossman makes a distinction between justice and vengeance, between life and death. As peace warriors, we choose justice and life. He says that hate is not necessary or even productive. And for example, we deal with murderers to seek justice, not vengeance. As a warrior, you need to live honorably. And this word honorably is important. How do you want to have lived your life? Like when you get to the end of it, when you look into the eyes of your loved ones and you ask questions like, did I lead a good life? Am I a good person? How will you answer those questions yourself? How will they answer them for you? When I was in the military, in the Army, I was in the infantry. Okay, I was a foot soldier. And the infantry's motto is follow me. You can't lead from behind. You need to lead from the front. You need to set the example. You need to accept responsibility for your circumstances, for your mistakes. You can't be blaming other people for your mistakes. That's not living honorably. If you take responsibility this way in your self-leadership, then others will follow you in important missions that you want to take them on. Self-leadership is taking a stand, just like that 82nd Airborne paratrooper. You don't flee to stress. You say, get behind me. I'm a warrior. Let me teach you also these warrior qualities. Grossman says that we're not all called to kill and die in this dark hour. He says, and I'll read it here, it's about preserving and protecting. It's about serving and sacrificing. It's about doing the dirty, desperate, thankless job every day of your life to the utmost of your ability, because you know that if no one did that job, our civilization would be doomed. Now, if you embody these warrior qualities, this way of valuing stress, and that being an integral part of how you process yourself through life, then it's not really a dirty, thankless job, because you see value in that. I think an important quality for a warrior is to change your relationship to life. we all ask these questions about what do I expect from life? What do I want? Like really focused on ourselves. Like we need to ask those questions. And at the same time, probably more important, and especially if you want to be a peace warrior, you need to ask, what does life expect from me? This is a question that you need to ask so that you can get some answers for how to serve. So take a stand, lead yourself, do the work, and then do what you can and let the rest go. You still need to be able to relax and enjoy your life. Find a balance. You value stress as a warrior, and you need a way to process that stress. Well, Grossman has a very practical exercise for doing that. It calls it tactical breathing. I've heard some other people call it box breathing. Well, here's the drill. Number one, inhale to the count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4. So it'd be something like this. Breathing is a process that you have conscious control over. Use breathing to process stress. Use breathing to stay in the stress. It's one small thing, one small way that you can be more warrior-like.